This is a WCVB Channel 5 editorial. Speaking on behalf of the editorial board, WCVB President and General Manager, Kyle Grimes.
As the saying goes, elections have consequences. It's as true today as it was in 1788 with America's first presidential election. When political power shifts in Washington, changes should be expected in priorities, policies, and personnel. This is how democracy works. Here's what's not part of that long-standing tradition. A change in political power that centers on what some are calling a careless disregard for the law and the United States Constitution. Adherence to our Constitution does not depend on party. High office holders take an oath to see that both the law and the Constitution are upheld. But in just the first 2 weeks of the new Trump administration, multiple inspector generals of major federal departments, including state, defense, and intelligence, have been fired by the White House, despite a federal law which requires that Congress have a role in such dismissals. Until a federal judge stepped in, a section of the 14th Amendment granting birthright citizenship was written out with the stroke of a presidential pen. And an unelected and unconfirmed top advisor with sweeping powers and little oversight seems poised to expunge entire federal departments. Yes, new administrations must be free to make changes that suit their own agenda, even when that agenda upends U.S. diplomacy, such as Trump's proposal to take ownership of Gaza. Yet we'd like to think that most voters would agree that those changes cannot include cherry-picking which laws and which sections of the Constitution to follow and which to ignore. We'd also remind our elected leaders that ultimately their oath of office is to the Constitution, not to any president or that president's agenda. But it's still early. Our hope is that even in the face of political pressure, Congress will quickly come to insist that, at the very least, laws be faithfully executed and the separation of powers be adhered to. That shouldn't be too much to ask.
Send comments to editorial.